Hey Vitality, it's Matt Adlard here, and I've got a decadent chocolate cake recipe for you today. It's like crispy on top but soft in the center. And the great thing about this recipe is not only is it gluten-free, but you can also make it refined sugar-free. Now typically a lot of chocolate cake recipes are very heavy and stodgy, but like I said, this is very light. And if you love chocolate, you are going to be loving yourself after you've made this recipe. Let's bake!
Start by melting together your coconut oil or your butter, and you can do this in the microwave or over a pan of gently simmering water, and you're just going to stir it together until it is nice and smooth. Then let it cool for a few minutes before slowly pouring in your egg yolks. We do this very slowly, whisking constantly so that we don't scramble the eggs and you've got a nice smooth mix.
We're going to put that chocolate mixture to the side and we're going to get on with the meringue. Now the meringue is the secret to making this cake so light, and I'm going to use a stand mixer to whisk up my egg whites, but you can also use a hand whisk or an electric hand whisk. Now what I would say is if you're using coconut sugar to make this refined sugar-free, then those granules are a little bit bigger than you would say caster sugar, so it's not going to incorporate into the egg quite as easily, but just whisk it until it's really nice and thick and voluminous, and you're looking for kind of a soft bird's beak to your meringue.
For the meringue, I'm going to add my egg whites into the bowl of a stand mixer. But you do not need a fancy stand mixer. You can just take a large bowl and use a hand whisk and whisk the egg whites until they are nice and frothy. Then you're going to add in your sugar. Now I'm using coconut sugar to make it refined sugar-free, but you can also use caster sugar or light brown sugar, and add in about a teaspoon at a time, waiting about 5 seconds in between each addition, and whisk it up until you get a nice bird's beak to your meringue like that. Then we are going to take this meringue mixture and we're going to fold it in thirds into that cooled chocolate mixture we made earlier. So take a scoop of that meringue and gently take your spatula and fold it twice to the center and once around the outside. This is kind of the folding motion that we're going to use. And the idea here is not to over mix it. We don't want to knock too much air out of the meringue. So be quite gentle, just mixing it until that meringue is incorporated and it's kind of disappeared into the chocolate mixture. Then you're going to take your second, third meringue and you're going to do the exact same technique. So we're just going to fold it in very gently, trying to avoid knocking out too much air, running the spatula twice to the center, once around the outside until it's incorporated, and then you can add your final third of meringue. Once you've folded in your final third of meringue, you should end up with a batter that kind of looks like this, very smooth. You don't see any meringue lumps. And we're going to take this batter and we're going to pour it into a springform pan. Now I've greased it lightly with butter, poured some cocoa powder around the outside, tipped out the excess, and fill it all the way to the top, and then we can put it in the oven.
We're going to bake the cake for 40 minutes at 150 degrees Celsius, and you'll notice that as it's baking, it rises up and almost fills the tin. The cake is cooked when you take a skewer and it comes out clean. Take it out of the oven and you can let it cool for about 45 minutes, and you'll notice that as it's cooling, the cake kind of collapses in on itself ever so slightly. That is absolutely fine because it's a meringue-based cake. That is what it's going to do, but it gives it this lovely kind of a rustic look. Then we can cut it up, we can decorate it, and we can serve.
Once the cake has baked and cooled, you should see it's collapsed ever so slightly around the outside. This is the crispy top that we're going to get to our chocolate cake, and you're going to remove the outside of the springform pan, then give it a light dusting of cocoa powder or icing sugar. Now a great tip when you're serving this up is to take a knife and run it under hot water, dry it off with a tea towel, and then cut your slices. This will make the slices very clean. It just makes it look ever so slightly more professional when you are serving it. Then just take a palette knife or a cake lifter and lift a slice out. And quickly before we serve this, let's just have a little peek at the texture. You can see that crispy top and then that very soft center in the middle. And then I'm going to add a dollop of vanilla whipped cream on top and be completely unnecessary and use my kitchen tweezers to place a strawberry on top of the cream, but you could just drop some berries on there and it will look just as beautiful. But there you go, your delicious chocolate cake.
So there you have it, a decadent chocolate cake recipe. And the great thing about it is it's so versatile because it's gluten-free. You can also make it refined sugar-free. If you don't have coconut sugar though, don't worry, because you can use caster sugar or you can use light brown sugar and it's still going to taste amazing. Now if you do make it, please tag us at Vitality UK, and I'll see you soon for more.